If I told you one of the most healing conversations of your life could be with someone who doesn't exist anymore, would you believe me? Not a therapist, not a friend, not even someone still walking this earth. I'm talking about you, the version of you who lived years, even decades, before the person you are now. It sounds strange until you try it, and then something happens you won't see coming. We grow up thinking healing is a forward-moving thing. You get older, you move on, you toughen up, you get over it. That's the myth. But in reality, so much of what weighs us down isn't in the future at all. It's tucked behind us. The 17-year-old who felt invisible, the 30-year-old who pretended everything was fine, the 45-year-old who carried heartbreak in silence. They're all still in there, waiting for someone, finally, to come back for them. So today, I want to take you somewhere unexpected, back into conversation with your younger self. Not to judge them, not to shame them, but to understand them. And I'll show you why this simple, quiet act can change everything. I once met a man named Harold, 78 years old, widowed, slow in his steps, but sharp in his eyes. He was one of those people who carried memory like it was packed into his shoulders. You could see it when he walked, like each step pushed against something heavy. We were talking about regret, not the, "oh, I should have saved more money" kind. I mean the deep regrets, the ones people don't talk about until they're closer to the end than the beginning. Harold told me, "My biggest regret wasn't what I did. It was what I never said." He had a younger brother, bright, loud, full of energy. And when Harold was 19, they had a huge argument, harsh words, pride. The sort of fight siblings have when they think there will be endless time to fix it, except there wasn't. His brother died in a car accident the next day. And for 60 years, Harold carried that argument like a stone in his pocket. He never talked about it, never opened it, just carried it, letting the weight of that moment shape his entire life. For decades, he punished that young version of himself, the boy who didn't know he was running out of time. One day, someone suggested something unusual. "Why don't you talk to the 19-year-old version of you?" Harold said he laughed. "Talk to him? What would I even say?" He pushed it aside, until one night, unable to sleep, he sat on the edge of his bed and closed his eyes. For the first time in 60 years, he let that 19-year-old appear in his mind. He saw him clearly, lanky, stubborn, angry, confused, scared. A boy with no idea of what tomorrow held. And Harold spoke, not out loud, just softly inside the mind. "I know you didn't mean it. I know you thought there'd be more time. You were young. You were doing your best." He told that boy he forgave him. He told him he wished someone had told him how fragile life was. He told him he wasn't cruel. He just didn't know. And Harold said something shifted. Not because the past changed, it didn't. But because he changed. Because he finally stopped punishing a younger version of himself who never had the tools to do better. Talking to your past self isn't imagination. It's emotional archaeology. You're digging through layers of memory, brushing off old stories, and finally handling them with the care they deserved the first time. We don't realize how harsh we are to our younger selves. The mistakes we call stupid. The heartbreaks we say we should have seen coming. The choices we now label as weak. But here's the truth. The person you were back then didn't know what you know now. They didn't have your years, your perspective, your strength. And yet, you expect them to behave as if they did. So much of our suffering comes from holding old versions of ourselves to standards we couldn't possibly meet at the time. Talking to your past self is a way of letting the pressure valve release. It gives you a chance to say what you needed to hear, long before you had the words. There's a woman named Elaine, 71, bold, sarcastic, funny, the kind who wears bright earrings and calls everyone love. But she carried something too. She told me she spent half her life feeling guilty for leaving a marriage that everyone else thought she should have stayed in. She was 26, with 2 kids, and a husband who saw her more as furniture than a partner. But back then, in the 1970s, leaving wasn't admired. It was whispered about. Decades later, she still felt judged, even though her life turned out better, even though her children were grateful, even though she knew she did the right thing. One day I asked her, if you could sit across from the version of you who left, what would you tell her? Elaine's face changed. All the humor dropped away. She said, I think I'd tell her she was brave, that she wasn't selfish, that she saved us. And then she paused. And I'd tell her I'm proud of her, because nobody ever did. A single tear fell. The first she said she'd cried in months. That's the thing about talking to your past self. It gives you a moment nobody else ever gave you. Permission, forgiveness, validation, relief. Let's go deeper for a moment. Inside your brain, memories don't sit like dusty boxes in a basement. They're active, living. They fire emotional signals every time you revisit them, sometimes even when you don't realize it. A childhood embarrassment, a failed relationship, a moment you disappointed yourself. The memory ages, but the emotion doesn't. That means the 15-year-old who felt ashamed, still inside you. The 30-year-old who felt trapped, still inside you. The 50-year-old who felt unlovable, still inside you. They're not gone, they're waiting. And when you speak to them, something remarkable happens. You update the emotional meaning of the memory. You give that younger self new information, compassion, context, kindness. And the brain rewires the memory accordingly. You can't rewrite the event, but you can rewrite the emotional charge it carries. And that changes how you feel today. Let me tell you about another man, Carlos, 84, tough as nails, a former sergeant, a man who never cried, or so he claimed. He grew up in a home where feelings were dangerous, literally. His father was violent, his mother withdrawn. Carlos learned early that speaking up got you hurt. For nearly all of his adult life, Carlos never forgave the boy who stayed silent. He thought that boy was weak, cowardly, shameful. It wasn't until his 70s that he tried this exercise, talking to his past self. He pictured that boy, small, skinny, terrified. And Carlos finally realized that kid didn't stay silent because he was weak. He stayed silent because he was protecting himself. He cried for the first time in decades, not out of sadness, out of recognition. And that's the point. Healing doesn't always come from changing who you are now. Sometimes it comes from finally understanding who you were then. So how do you actually do this? It's simpler than it sounds. You sit alone, quiet, no pressure. You picture the version of you who needs you the most. It might be the child who didn't feel loved, the young adult who pretended they were fine, the parent who was overwhelmed, the middle-aged version who felt lost. Look at them. Really look. What expression do they have? What are they afraid of? What do they believe about themselves that isn't true anymore? And then, talk to them. Tell them they weren't supposed to know better. Tell them the things you wish someone had told you. Tell them the truth, the real truth. You were worth loving. You were never a failure. You did the best you could. You had so much on your shoulders. You didn't deserve the pain you carried. You don't need perfect language. You don't need poetic wisdom. You just need honesty. The younger you isn't looking for perfection. They're looking for permission to stop hurting. Here's the beautiful twist people never expect. When you comfort your past self, Your present self feels lighter because the person you were is not separate from the person you are. They're chapters of the same book. And none of them disappear just because time has passed. You're not speaking to a ghost. You're speaking to the part of you that needed gentleness for decades. And when you finally give it to them, something in you unclenches. Just like Harold, just like Elaine, just like Carlos, just like so many people who spend years holding their stories in silence. Here's a truth you discover only with age. Healing isn't always about going forward. Sometimes it's about going back. Going back with the wisdom you've earned. Going back with the softness you never allowed yourself before. Going back to tell the story differently, not with blame, but with understanding. Your past self can't change the outcome of your life, but you can change the way they're remembered, and that changes the way you live now. So if you're rebuilding, if you're trying to understand your own story, if you're finally ready to lay some old ghosts to rest, come back to yourself. Sit with the younger you. Talk to them. Hold their hand in the only way time still allows. You may be surprised by how much both of you needed that conversation. You don't have to heal alone. Follow Timekeepers for more wisdom you can feel.